Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful Tuesday night in America, or day, whatever side of the country you're on, the East Coast, West Coast. Now summertime, so we're getting a little bit more sunlight towards this time of the day. Let's get to some news of the day. President Trump's poll numbers are close to, and some polls at all-time highs. President Trump doing exactly what he told us what he was going to do. He was going to cut taxes. He was going to get through that big, beautiful bill for the American people. It's now out of committee, and it's going to be heading to the House floor either this week or next week, where we're hoping that the RINOS in Congress can get it together and pass this thing for the American people. Tax cuts, Medicaid, Medicare reforms, all of it, what President Trump promised. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on car loan payments, as long as the car is made here in America. Now, the American people are overwhelmingly optimistic about the Trump administration and everything he's doing, regardless of the psyop that the mainstream media wants to run and has been running, quite frankly, since January. Notice all the polls that came out for President Trump's first 100 days, the polls that dropped on the first 100 days, and the polls that dropped a few days before. Those pollsters haven't done polls since November 5th. Now, why? Why did they all of a sudden come out for his first 100 days? Well, my opinion and the opinion of some very good pollsters, it was to skew the numbers. So to tell everybody that President Trump was underwater, that his first 100 days were terrible, that the American people are revolting against him and they don't want him anymore. But it's all a lie. We've got some new polling out for you today. For the first time since 2021, July of 2021, a majority of Americans rate the economy as strong or somewhat strong, according to a new Harvard-Harris poll. Now, Harvard-Harris is historically Marxist left, but deciding they want to tell the truth maybe once and for all, or maybe just for this one poll. We'll have to keep you updated on how their polling progresses throughout the Trump administration. But these pollsters and the mainstream media coordinated together are running a massive psychological operation. But the American people, they didn't fall for it in 2016. They didn't fall for it in 2020 when President Trump won the 2020 election. And they didn't fall for it in 2024, where he won the presidential election for a third time, the only president in U.S. history to ever do that, regardless of what the Marxist Dems want to tell you that happened on that November day in 2020. President Trump won. It's not just President Trump who's getting the job done. It's people like Alina Habba out in New Jersey. Alina Habba serving a sitting member of Congress with charges for breaking into that ICE detention center in New Jersey. Now, this is something we've never seen before. LaMonica McClever, a congresswoman, for breaking into, like I said, that ICE center just last week when they staged that ridiculous protest. It's nice to see the wheels of justice start turning. It's nice to see the wheels of justice moving in truth, justice, and the American way. For years, for the last 4 years, in fact, we watched a weaponized justice system go after President Trump, his family, and anyone who surrounded themselves with the president. Truly a travesty. But like I said, it's nice to see that the wheels of justice have finally started to come around and make amends. And in other news, a story we brought you yesterday, and you probably heard all over the news, Joe Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis. Leo Terrell, senior counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, suggesting that the former First Lady Jill Biden could face criminal charges for what he deems, quote, elder abuse. Now, it speaks volumes. You may think it's a joke, but it speaks volumes. What did Jill Biden know? It's her husband. If Joe Biden truly does have cancer, which I believe he does, his wife had to have known, and she didn't just find out last week. This is something that had to have been going on. Some doctors are suggesting 5 to 10 years. But a travesty, what his wife did to him. Watched him sit in an Oval Office, watched him stumble, embarrass himself, embarrass the country, all the while this man was dealing with prostate cancer. There's no other way to put it than evil. Dr. Jill Biden, truly an evil person, to allow her husband to sit there and embarrass himself and embarrass his country, knowing damn well what she was doing and what was wrong with him. So I think it's time for some of these watchdog organizations, and I'm almost certain Judicial Watch is probably already on the scene, to try to FOIA some of Joe Biden's documents and his medical records from last year, from the year before, and the year before. It's very simple that how we're going to be able to figure out if Joe Biden knew. And it's a simple number. It's a PSA test that they take at a certain age to figure out if you have any issues with your prostate, as it is pretty common among men over 50. So it's time to get these documents, time to start doing some FOIAs and find out who knew what and when they knew and what's going on with those pardons. Congressman James Comer, House Oversight Committee Chairman, is now vowing to look into at least some of those blanket pardons that Joe Biden issued just before leaving office. We need answers, folks. We need answers, and we need them now. Earlier today, I sat down with a good friend of mine, John Bachman, Newsmax anchor, on his show, John Bachman Now. And I wanted to bring you guys that interview because I thought it was truly a great discussion on President Trump, the polling, the race war that the Marxist Dems are waging in this country against white people, against everybody. Truly a fascinating conversation, and I thought it was very important. So I want to bring you that sit-down conversation that I had with John Bachman earlier today on Newsmax.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
John, great to have you here.
Thank you. And just a word for Lou. In this industry, Lou taught me everything I know. I came into this industry as a neophyte working in politics. I thought the two things were aligned, news, TV, and politics. I learned fast as a kid who didn't know how to write a sentence, everything from the great Lou Dobbs. I owe him everything. And his wonderful wife, I believe, is tuning in right now. So
we can't say enough about Lou Dobbs. We miss him every day. And I would only think about what he would be saying about Brandon Johnson and saying these comments. I mean, on an open mic, admitting that a lot of his hiring practices are based on race. I want to put some stats here on the screen to talk about how that's going for Brandon Johnson. There's a $1.2 billion budget shortfall for that city right now. Its credit rating has worsened. Violent crime in Chicago public schools up 26% in 2023 when Brandon Johnson took over. His administration lacks a basic organizational chart, according to the Chicago Tribune. And before him, it was Lori Lightfoot. And you just wonder, I mean, does it take really a civil rights investigation to get these people out of office? When are the people of Chicago going to wake up?
I think you missed one thing in there, and I think it's his approval rating. His approval rating, I think, the last time I saw was in single digits.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if it's possible. If you pulled Donald Trump on his worst day with the most leftist pollster, I don't think you'd get poll digits in the single digits. But that's besides the fact that people do need to wake up, and I talk to people about this on my show every day. California is another one. Yeah. When are these people going to wake up? And it usually takes something bad to happen in order for something good to happen. The last 4 years, we had Joe Biden, and we had an anomaly in November, and Donald Trump is back in office now. If what's going on in Chicago right now isn't a wake-up call for the people in Chicago, I don't think it's ever going to change. And it's sad to see because there are people there who need a lot of help. The homeless issues, the crime, the drugs.
It's a great city. I love that place. And people like Brandon Johnson are ruining it. And, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter what your race is for these positions. It should be based on your qualifications.
First, I thought that was illegal, by the way.
It is illegal. And, and the way he's talking about it, he might find himself in some real trouble.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
So, John, you're from the Northeast. We got guys like Mike Lawler and Andrew Garbarino saying they got to get these tax cuts. But President Trump's point is, why should the rest of America be paying for this profligate spending in these Democrat-run states?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Lawler has taken his fight to President Trump. He's a rhino. It's just, there's no other way to put it. So is the rest of the Klan that's with him. He should be taking his fight to Governor Kathy Hochul, asking her why property taxes are through the roof in New York, why taxes are so high in New York, why everything's so expensive in New York. Instead, he's taking up, him and the rest of his few people are holding the millions of Americans who need this tax relief like there's no tomorrow over high prices in New York. Why is that Donald Trump's problem? The SALT tax deduction, for the people who don't know, it's a small deduction that people in New York and New Jersey can deduct from their property taxes on their federal tax returns. Don't hold hostage millions and millions of Americans because of New York Marxists who have taxes through the roof. Hold your government accountable, not Donald Trump.
And what Lawler and Garbarino are saying is that if they don't get these deductions, they're not going to get reelected. Democrats are going to win those seats, and then Republicans won't control the House.
Well, we're dealing with 2 Democrats now as it is. They're not voting for the bill. So what difference does it make, John, if we have a Democrat there? I'm just being facetious on it. Yeah. But the people understand, John, at the end of the day, that the problem relies in New York with the corrupt system in New York, not with Donald Trump. Don't hold Donald Trump hostage. Don't hold the bill hostage for the millions of Americans who need it.
There's a couple of messaging points I've been making that I think Republicans are missing here, and that's number one, the fact that we were spending about $4.5 trillion a year as a country before COVID. Mm-hmm. With COVID, we increased that to close to $7 trillion, and we're still spending that today, years after COVID ended. The other thing, too, is everyone is so scared to talk about Medicaid cuts, but you and I know that Medicaid does need to be cut. It needs to be cut to able-bodied adults who are capable of working, who can get jobs. It needs to be cut for illegal immigrants who are receiving Medicaid. And Republicans don't seem to want to admit that. They're kind of dancing around the issue. Shouldn't they be more forceful about what is actually being saved instead of just using this term waste, fraud, and abuse, which doesn't really mean, I think, as much as they think it means?
This is one that gets you thrown under the bus every single time from the audience, who are, and the people there who are on the brink of needing it and people who are receiving it. But the truth of the matter is people like myself and people my age, it's not going to be there for us. I was always under the impression that there was so much waste, fraud, and abuse in this country that we'd be able to cut that we would never even have to touch it. It's apparent that's not the case right now. But no, there absolutely is. And now is the time, and I'll tell you why now is the time to do it. Donald Trump performed better than any president among a specific age group, and it's the age group of 18 to 25 and up until 30. Now is the time to explain to my generation, to the generation just above me, that this is what has to be done. Either we fix it or it's not going to be there. So it's a lose-lose situation. We bite the bullet right now while we can, and we reform this thing once and for all so that you, your kids, and your grandkids
They need to protect Medicaid for the people that actually need it.
Absolutely.
And Medicare is a different story. And if we don't, rein in some of the spending, you're right, it's not going to be there for us. Let's also talk about Joe Biden, of course, and the Democrats. They do not want to talk about this. Like everyone, we are wishing Joe Biden a speedy recovery for his cancer. There was some hope for that. But the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, was asked about President Biden and whether or not he knew about this aggressive cancer. And take a listen to how he talked about it here.
My expectation that President Biden is going to meet this moment with the courage and resilience that he's consistently shown. Seems to me entirely inappropriate that at this moment in time, when President Biden is dealing with a serious and aggressive form of cancer, there are Republicans who are peddling conspiracy theories and want us to look backward at a time when they actually are taking health care away from the American people. No, as House Democrats, we're going to look forward. They literally are trying to take health care away from millions of Americans at this very moment in the dead of night. And Republicans want to fan the flames of conspiracy theories at this moment? No, thank you.
Of course, sorry to subject everyone to that clip and Hakeem Jeffries. You know, they can't use the term conspiracy theory anymore because they've thrown it around so much. The other thing, too, is what's difficult for someone like Hakeem Jeffries in this situation is he either has to admit that he was not included on these inside talks, which is bad. You know, he can't admit that publicly, or he was, and he was lying to the American public the entire time.
I don't think he was complicit, and as much as it hurts me to say that, I don't think he probably knew. He's not too smart of a guy, and they probably didn't want him in on it.
He's no Nancy Pelosi, let's just say that.
Absolutely. He's not a good stock trader. The truth of the matter is this is something, with how advanced his cancer is right now. By the way, I just want to go back to something he said about the Republicans. Notice how he grandstands and the Democrats grandstand. They say that the Republicans are using conspiracies as this man goes out there and lies and says that Republicans are taking away your health care. They're taking away this, they're taking away that. No, they're taking away from illegals so that we can give it to the people in this country who are citizens who have it and deserve it. Okay? But going back to Joe Biden, with how every doctor I've spoken to, with how advanced and this progressed, this is not something that came overnight. This is something that we've hearing 5 to 10 years that he's been dealing with. There's a lot of people saying that his trips home to Delaware were possibly for treatment. But it's very simple. Judicial Watch, if you're listening, any government organization, go FOIA his PSA numbers. Let's find out.
Well, apparently he didn't take the PSA test.
Which is impossible because there's no man over 50 years old who doesn't get a PSA test.
I guess what I've read is that there are some doctors who forgo the test because, for whatever reason, later in life. But I think there is a real concern about Joe Biden's doctors, supposed to be one of the best in the country. Kevin O'Connor, I believe his name is. Serious questions about who was telling him to take Joe Biden's health care a certain way, if that's the case. Real quickly, too, there was an exchange earlier today with Marco Rubio with Tim Kaine on Capitol Hill talking about refugees. Take a listen to this.
Can you have a different standard based upon the color of somebody's skin? Would that be acceptable?
Well, I'm not the one arguing that. Apparently you are, because you don't like the fact that they're white, and that's why they're coming.
I'm just asking you to say that would be unacceptable.
Well, no,
that
I would say that the United States,
a very easy thing
the United
to say.
States has a right to pick and choose who they allow into the United States.
Even based on the color of somebody's skin.
No one's. You're the one that's talking about the color of their skin, not me. Burned down and they were killed because of the color of their skin.
Democrats want to make this big deal about these Afrikaners coming to the country. And what Marco Rubio's point was, is the United States has the right to accept whoever they want in this country based on the national interest of the United States, not based on what's better for people who come to this country and don't want to assimilate into our society.
John, we got rid of looking at race and color many, many years ago. We're not going back to that. The race baiting is unbelievable, and the timing is highly peculiar as we head into the summer. We all remember the summer of love. Summer is right around the corner. The timing is highly peculiar.
Yeah, we warned about that. We got to be on guard this summer because we know just under the surface they're itching to cause more problems. All right, John Fawcett, great to see you. We'll see you on the Great American Show. You owe me now. I need a home and home situation. You got to have me on.
You got it. You're always welcome in my home, in my studio.
All right, Johnny, good to see you.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today here on the Great America Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow from the Great America Show back in New York. Till then, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.